That song has inherent in it complete and total responsibility. You are a blank slate. You are an open book ready to be written on in this new year, yes? I thought I might start with something kind of fun, books that never should have been written. And the authors of those books, get ready because this is like probably a 10-groaner joke. The book that was entitled Under the Grandstands by that great author Seymour Butts. Going to the Outhouse by Willie Make It. Illustrated by Betty Won't. I told you they were bad. How to Survive a Bear Attack by that great author Ben Eaton. Walking to School by Misty Buss. Oh, how about this one? This is that Swedish author. Where Have All the Animals Gone? Written by Darren DeBarn. Darren DeBarn. So you guys are faster than first service. They're like, I don't get it. Over the Mountaintop by Hugo First. Falling Off a Cliff by Eileen Dover. I Was Prepared by Justin Case. And Why Should I Walk by Iona Carr. Smelly Stuff by Anita Bath. And The Art of Being Discreet. This is my favorite. The Art of Being Discreet by Anonymous. The Bearded Chinaman by Harry Chin. And Getting Fired by Anita Job. And that great classic, Sitting on the Beach by Sandy Cheeks. Books that maybe should not have ever been written. But you know what? We stand today as an unwritten book. We stand today as a pure potentiality, a field of pure potentiality waiting for us to create. We stand today, our lives as we know them today, as a symbol of two things. The book that you wrote in the past, a history book, a great history book, and the book that is yet unwritten, that is a sci-fi adventure of where you are going. Guess what? You are completely and totally responsible for both these books, and to which one you are carrying around in the now moment. Now, my first service really argued with me, saying that there is three books. There is the book of the now. There's three books there. But you know what? That's a book that's ever-changing, isn't it? You can't call the now a book. You can't even call it a chapter. You can't even call it a page. Perhaps maybe you can call it a word because it is forever changing. Take a moment to breathe now. Oh, wait, now's gone. And now here you are in now. But what's important to know is that the now moment is where God exists, where good exists. This now moment is contextualized and informed, though, by the book of the past and the book of the future. And I want to ask you, which one are you carrying? It's important. The book of the history, the book of the past, is the one that's burning. Wayne Dyer told us that we needed to give up the hope of ever having a better past. There's a lot of stuff in that book that needs to be released. Thus, we do a burning bowl at the first of the year. And we also do a white stone, because there's the other book, the one that we are watering. Ever known a lot of people walking around with that history book in their hands? And they're on fire. And they're burning up, and nothing new can be created. There's good from that history book. Don't get me wrong. That's a good book to revisit. It's a good book to know. But if you're holding on to that book as your only source of the now moment, you are burning up. No matter how good it might feel, you are a house on fire. You are a consciousness on fire. And then you have the book of the future. That's when you're going to wander. You're going to live and live into that which is calling for expression through you and as you. Both books are absolutely important. Both books are absolutely necessary. And you stand as a bridge in the now moment, taking the information from both that which you are being called into and that which you have been, to bring the information from both. Not live in those, live as close as you can to the moment, but to gather the information that comes in so that the now moment can be as full and rich and beautiful as it possibly can be. We stand at the precipice of January, named after the great god. You all know the name? Yeah, here in the South we say Janus. God Janus, Janus. I looked up the correct pronunciation. Janus, from the Latin. Janus had two faces, with a clear understanding that there was value in the past and there was value looking forward. And to bring them into the now moment, we must be attentive. We must be awake. We must be conscious at all moments to know what we are bringing in and what we need to release and let go of. And here's the truth. You're responsible. You're writing both books, and the history book is being rewritten as you speak, or as I speak. You decide what goes into each book. You decide what you're going to bring into the now moment. Each thought you have, each feeling you have, each action you take is bringing the energy from these books, history or the future. You have the power, and you decide which one you're going to carry in the now. So what goes into the first book? By the way, this is an audience. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions today. They're not rhetorical. I want an answer from you. What goes into that book of the past that can be burned so that you can become the phoenix and arise from the ashes, but it must be burned? What do you put in that book? Sorrow. What else? Regret. Things you don't want. Be more specific, Sylvia. I don't want to see those things. I don't want to feel. Let's be more specific. What do you not want to see or feel or does not serve your life today? Guilt. Attachment. Shame. Okay. Here's my list of things I want to get rid of. My stories of anger. My stories of betrayal. My stories of resentment and regret. My stories of duality, us and them, you and me. My stories of unforgiveness, my stories of blame, my shame, my stories of fear and doubt, disappointment, failure. These are my souvenirs of hell. And they belong in the fire of a book that is burning and being released. Now there's value that's going to go into the other book, but the reality is a lot of us are carrying around our souvenirs of hell. They're like rocks in our pocket. We're carrying them around. C.S. Lewis talks about the souvenirs of hell in his book, The Great Divorce. Every day a bus comes to pick people up to take them to the kingdom of heaven. And every day they get to the edge of that bus, and in order to step into the field of the kingdom of heaven, they have to give up their souvenirs of hell. They have to give up those stones that have weighted them down and throw them down. And every day a whole bunch of people get back on the bus and said, no, I'm not ready to give that up. I want to hold this book, this history book, this ledger of all of the rights and wrongs of my life and all the people that deserve to be in that book. You're never going to enter the kingdom of heaven. As long as you're carrying those man-made illusory ideas of shame and blame and guilt and failure and souvenirs of hell, you're not ever going to enter the kingdom of heaven. I want 2020 to be a kingdom of heaven. And so I'm saying we are at the precipice of putting that book down. And I'm not messing around. We talk a good game. We come every year, and we do the burning bowl on Tuesday night. And I see the same people putting the same thing into the fire. And sometimes it's got my face on it. Well, no, not that you're burning me. But the reality is, it's the same thing. Well, maybe this year is the year I give it up. Maybe this is the year that I don't carry that history book with me. I'm saying it needs to be this year. 2020, a new decade. Don't miss the opportunity to take stock of what history book you are writing. What energy you are allowing to have access to your mind and your brain and your heart and your consciousness and, yes, your life. But I want to ask you, what is the payoff? Everything in life has a payoff. Do you know that? We don't do anything as human beings unless there is a payoff. Let's get real about that. Why are we holding those resentments? Why are we holding that unforgiveness? There's a payoff. What is the payoff for you? Staying in my comfort zone. What else? To be right. I love to be right. It's so much more fun than being wrong. So I'm just going to hold on to my book, and I'm right, and I'm right, and I'm burning to ashes in a history book that needs to be put down. What else? Punishing myself. Oh, shame, shame, shame. I deserve to be punished. Then you're not living from the magnificence of your soul. You're taking everything we teach from this platform and you're tossing it to one side because it's more important to punish myself because I am a worm of the dust. I need to just go eat green worms because I'm not as good as anybody else. It's time to give that up in 2020, a new vision. Here's my list of the payoffs. I get to be a victim. I lived for a long time knowing I could get some of my needs met by being a victim. I could walk into a room and I could go, oh, woe is me. Pour me this. I pulled out my souvenirs of hell and I passed them around the party. Oh, poor Richard, stroke me, stroke me, stroke me, make me feel good. I gave all my power to an external reality. I was holding a book of hell and I was burning to the ground. And it wasn't until I took complete and total responsibility for the lessons I got from that experience, but put the experience itself down on the ground that I began to be entering the kingdom of heaven. How about being right, being justified, proving a point? You ever know those stubborn people? I'm going to hold on to this book because I'm going to show them that I was right. A sense of security. I get my needs met. Everything has a payoff. This is the book I'm recommending you bring. Don't bring a whole book and burn it in the burning bowl this week. We don't want the sprinklers to go off, but there's a whole book that can be boiled down to one idea that needs to go into that pot once and for all. And I'm saying, let this be the year. Let 2020 be the year. So what goes in the other book? The one that you're going to tend, you're going to water, you're going to nurture. What goes in that book? Let's hear it. Freedom, hope, power. What else? Happiness. What's this over here? Growth, clarity, passion. All kinds of great divine ideas. Divine ideas are screaming for life through you. You were created in the image and after the likeness of those divine ideas, and they're not there by accident. Therefore, you're going to burn the book, and then you're going to show up at the white stone and walk through the gateway of transformation and go, I am hope. I am freedom. I am power. I am strength. I am 1,000 things, and this is the year that I claim them. Stories that you go into that next book are the lessons I learned. You see, that experience was valuable. I need to grab a lesson from that experience that's burning up and go, let me put it in this book so I don't repeat it. People who don't study the past are bound to repeat it. I learned something about myself. I learned something about this other person. I learned something about how we relate to each other, and I might want to do it differently in 2020. Otherwise, I'll be at the burning bowl yet again in 2021, burning your name again, burning that relationship yet again. Burning that job, burning that experience. Don't waste an entire year to be back at the burning bowl going, yeah, here comes that message of release yet again. Things that go in that are the things that you are proud of. Things that you discovered about yourself that were magnificent, that you never knew before 2019. How many people in this way, a show of hands, learned something about yourself that you really liked in 2019? Grab it, put it in the book, read it, water it, read it often, over and over and over and over again, and don't let anybody who's out of your comfort zone drag you back down to the book of fire. That sounds like I'm talking about hell. Burn, burn, burn. The reality is a whole bunch of people want to keep you there. No more. I know who you are. I see who you are. I claim who you are, and I won't allow you to play small anymore. Live from the book and let me water that book with you because we are dependent on each other. We need that. But what do both books offer us that is absolutely beneficial for the now moment? What? Lessons, wisdom, guidance, evidence. Both have evidence that I am either in congruity with the divine essence of my being or out of congruity with my divine essence. Evidence is a good thing. We need to have the eyes and the ears and the mind and the heart and the spirit to look for the evidence of I'm on the right track or I'm off track. And then this is where it's contextualized in the now moment. That is, now. That next moment will be better because I gathered evidence in the previous moment. I don't like what I just said. I don't care to carry to the next moment what I just felt. I choose a different idea. That's the grace of God itself. I get to choose in the next now moment a new book, a new chapter, a new word, a new divine idea. And nobody is responsible. There is no ghostwriter here writing your life for you. There is no publisher or editor called God that's saying, Joel, you made a bad decision. I'm going to change that decision for you. Nope. You get to be the writer, the reader, the publisher, the editor, and the owner of your life. Can you see that responsibility is kind of important? So I want to ask you all, what if each book contained just one thing? The history book and the adventure book of the future. What if it contained just one thing? What is the most important thing to release, and what is the most important thing for you to embrace? Bring those into the now moment. Call it out. What is it? All kinds of great ideas. I noticed that nobody said being right. Nobody said being justified. Nobody said winning. Nobody said money. Nobody said a house. Nobody said a car. I heard love out of about 5 of you immediately. Love is the most important thing. I'm going to bring love from the most horrendous dark night of the soul that's burning in this book, but I got love there, a love I discovered about myself. Let me grab it and let me carry it to the now moment. And love is what I am. I'm returning home like a prodigal son to who I am, created in and as, and that's love. Let me pull that into the now moment. And then before I open my mouth, before I take an action, let love live in me in such a way that I'm asking the question, what would love do? Then I act in the next now moment, and the next now moment, and the next now moment. And here's the reality. What you choose in that now moment is going to determine what kind of book your life is in the now moment. How many of you are living in a mystery? There are people that live a mystery book. They've taken no responsibility for their life. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm a piece of driftwood floating with the ocean, and the tides of the ocean are just throwing me to and fro based upon what you said. That's a great mystery. Not a great read. Not a great place to be in the kingdom of heaven. What about a tragedy? Ever know those people that are living the moment as if it was a tragedy? And then they have the next moment, which is even more tragic than the last. And the next, and the next, and the next. We are drama queens. The human race is full of drama queens. We love our drama. I'm saying let 2020 be a year of no drama. I don't want that kind of book. What other kind of books do we have here? A comedy. Mike Stott lives a comedy. His whole life is a comedy. There's 1 degree of separation between anything and the next funny line. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes not so funny. Sometimes it is a bit tragic. A romance. And does romance have anything to do with anybody outside of you? Nothing to do with anybody outside of you. If you're waiting to write a romance novel for that person to show up in your field, you're going to be perpetually waiting. Perpetually waiting. You need to have a love affair with yourself. You need to have a love affair with the divine essence of your very being. That's the romance. That's the juice that I want in 2020. That you know who you are, that you are complete without somebody to complete you. One of the most codependent lines of all of Hollywood is, "You complete me." No, you validate my completion and I validate your completion, and somehow we dance together in a great symbol of love that doesn't need but is only in a place of being. Yes? What about an epic war novel? You ever met those people? That moment to moment, it's just one big War and Peace moment after another. They don't know who they are without the war. They don't know who they are without the argument. And sometimes that face is in the mirror. Let's just get real. We're pointing fingers. Oh, I know exactly who he's talking about. Him, and her. No. Look in the mirror. Sometimes I'm addicted to drama. Sometimes I need to look at, you know what? I can let that go. I can let that burn in the book that needs to be burnt, and I need to be somebody different in the next year. A new decade. Don't miss the opportunity. How about a self-help book? Think about that for a second. There's a lot of people in the New Thought world that are writing a self-help book. I can't wait for the next workshop. When's the next book coming? When's the next book coming? Come on, hit me. That'll feed me for the next 2 days. Then I need another book. I need another workshop. I need to come to church and have my scorecard out. The talk was good today. The talk wasn't good. It didn't feed me. I'm saying show up in the room and feed everybody around you. Then it will be the book that you need to write. And I tell you, I will disappoint you. If you come expecting me to hit a home run every time I'm up here, we're in trouble. Sometimes I get up here, and this is one of those weeks where I had a lot to do. It's like, if we walk to first base, it's going to be okay today. But you take responsibility for the life that you want to live. Not a minister, not a song, not a singer, not anybody in this room. You walk into the room and say, I am the veritable presence of love, and I'm going to spread love everywhere I go. Then it doesn't matter what happens up here, because what's happening out there, what's happening in here, and happening in here is the presence of love. We'll have a packed house every week in 2020 if you all do that. I could get up here and just be silent. Because we kind of live in the past and the future with the message. If we just came in and we're silent and we're loved together, that really should be enough. So if you want me to do shorter talks, bring more love into the room. Here's a reality. You you have no ghostwriter. There isn't a God that's going to edit stuff out. But some tools you have by grace. Grace is an amazing thing. I've written 2019. I've written something I like or don't like. At any given moment, you as the writer, this is what Unity calls denials. That doesn't define me. I almost hit the candle. That doesn't define me anymore. And I've got a blank slate. Every moment, now is a new opportunity to write the book of the future. Based on what I learned from the past, what is calling me into a greater expression of myself. And by grace, I can go, I'm going to keep that paper. This one doesn't work. This one doesn't work anymore. Now, there are those of us that would like to take this crumpled up piece of paper and go, it's all your fault. Throw it behind you into the fire that no longer. What if you never told that story again? What if you never repeated that story of victimhood again? Boy, that's hard. I teach that, but boy, I find coming out of my mouth unconsciously in a moment, why am I telling that story again? Put it in the book, burn it, bring it to Burning Bowl on Tuesday. And here's the other thing. Ever writing your story, you feel like it's just dull? It doesn't fulfill me right now? You are the pencil sharpener. Pencil to paper. It's not working. It's dull. It's not working. Sharpen the pencil. How do you sharpen the pencil? What are the tools that you have to sharpen your pencil? Let's hear it. Prayer, meditation. What, determination? Visualization. What else? Service. Oh, thank God. Who said that? That's my sermon. I sharpen my pencil by going and being loved to somebody else, and suddenly the story of my life begins to be full and rich, and the story of the now moment becomes more a testimony to love than anything because I sharpen my pencil through serving others. What else? Healing, community, family. Do whatever it takes for every one of us. Sharpening that pencil is going to look 1,000 different ways. Find your way. I could tell you a few. You've heard a few here. Find the one that works for you. But if life isn't working and life feels dull and you're just like, I'm breaking lead, go sharpen the damn pencil. Take responsibility for the pencil. And again, isn't it grace? You get down to a nub, you can go get a new pencil. They're pretty inexpensive. By grace, you have been given the opportunity with an endless supply of paper and an endless supply of pencils. It lives within you. But you need to take responsibility. Instead of going, somebody broke my pencil. Wah, wah, wah. Go get a new pencil. And then last but not least, before I invite Michael Burke to come up here, is you got to leave room in the margins. I think it is imperative to take into the new year with the book that you are writing. What do they tell you in college? Leave space between the lines so that there can be edits. There can be corrections. Leave space in the margins. Ever read a book? Do you guys write in books in the margins? That space is necessary. Oh, hey, that awoke something in me. Something was awakened in me. Let me put that in the margin. Let me go back and revisit it. That space is absolutely necessary. Make the most important thing the most important thing. And then leave space in between so you can remember the most important thing. What is the most important thing for you in 2020? Call it out. Okay, so we are on the precipice of a brand new year, and I said, what's the most important thing in 2020? And one person answered. What is the most important thing to you? I'm going to count to 3. I want you to call it into the space. 1, 2, 3. Space. 1, 2, 3. Space. I need more energy from you, and then let it soak into the cells of your being. Let the people around you be touched by what you just put into the field. Because when you put it into the field, it is basic law. Basic spiritual law. Because I don't care what book you're reading. You're writing a mystery, a comedy, a tragedy. All roads lead to that you are writing a book about spiritual law. You are proving spiritual law. Awake or not awake, the life that you have is the life that you have manifested and created. It's a book about spiritual law. 1, 2, 3. Leave space in the midst of that word and the next one. Now. Put a book down. now, now. It's the only place God exists. It's the only place that divine idea exists in now. Gather what's calling you to the future, gather the evidence from the past, and then bring it into this now moment. I'm going to invite Michael Burke to come forward now. I'm going to ask him to sit here. Do you have a mic? Mike? Mike needs a mic. What's that? Oh, you can borrow Kristen's. It's got lipstick on it. And I went to 3 different authors as to what I would like this community as a whole, as a family, to take into 2020. And I think these words have a lot of meaning and a lot of depth for us of what we want to write in the new book. The first author that I have asked him to read from was Henry David Thoreau, from the book Walden, from his experience on Walden Pond. This is what he has to write.
I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swath, a shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms.
I'm going to ask to put that slide up there, just the back end of that reading, which is just so beautiful. What is the energy behind that beautiful reading? What do you see there? What do you feel there? What do you know there? I see complete and total ownership, complete and total responsibility. I have shared a number of times about my good friend Cobra up in Portland, Oregon. Cobra was a living example of that, to live life to its fullest, to not do life halfway, to taste every bit of this life, to be a cobra, C-O-B-R-A, cut out the bull right away. Get to the marrow, get to the juice, quit messing around in the frivolities of life, and get to the beyond the small talk to the real talk, the truth that is at the bottom, the truth of you, the truth of the person in front of you, the truth of our common humanity, the truth of what is calling all of us to a greater expression of oneness. What else do you see in there? To live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to put it in the book, all that is not me. I don't choose that anymore. I deny that it has any more power over me. I give the story to the fire and I let it burn, and I become a phoenix, a great phoenix from the ashes of what has been released and gotten rid of. I become the magnificent structure, born anew. You know, every religion throughout the course of history has some kind of born-again energy in it. I'm saying a 2020 be born completely and totally new. I came in today and baby Jesus was still in the stable. We had to remove baby Jesus so that baby Jesus could live and fly. The Christ was born on Christmas Eve, and if the Christ stays in the manger of your heart and you don't do anything differently, that's where it's going to be next year when we celebrate Christmas yet again. Suck the marrow out of life and put feet to the Christ. Put thoughts to the Christ. Put emotions to the Christ, and for Pete's sake, put actions to the Christ of your being. Go out into the woods. Now, it's important. Somebody first service said, you know, it's important to understand that Henry David Thoreau had some support team. Somebody said that his mother and his sister did regular laundry, came in and brought him food so that he could have that great retreat of the soul. And I think that's an interesting, a clear example that we need each other, not out of a lack, but out of a creation where we are meant to be together. Sometimes you're going to bring my laundry. Sometimes I'm going to bring your laundry. Sometimes you're going to bring food. Sometimes I'm going to bring food. But we're doing this evolutionary process together. 2020 requires us to be completely authentic. It requires us to completely own our lives and to be totally responsible. Are you willing to do that? Yeah. Are you willing to own your life in 2020? Yes. Okay, that's more like it. The second author I would like to have Michael read is Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Life valiantly conducted is the true romance. Our valor is not always found in our greatest victories, but in our enduring and faithful struggle to dream, to risk, and to dream again. To deny risk is to deny life. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk exposing our true self. To place our ideas, our dreams, before a crowd is to risk ridicule. To hope is to risk despair. To grow is to risk change. To try is to risk failure.
So this question's a little bit easier than the last one. What is the dominant energy right there in that reading? Say it. Yeah, that's all right. There's no wrong answers, but that's the one I'm looking for. Risk. 2020 is going to demand from us that we step out of our comfort zone to be fully who we are meant to be. To not risk keeps us centered in the old history book, I'm content with who I have been. There's a better version of you that wants to be born here. And it's going to take risk being the fool. It's going to take you risking being mocked. It's going to take you risking being crucified. It's going to take you risking 1,000 things. But on the other side of that are the lessons that go into the new book. The lessons that you will water. The new version of who you are meant to be. And this made me think of garages. How many people have a garage with boxes that have not been opened for 5 years? You know, both books require us to risk. And I tell you, a lot of the risk is over here. That box, I might need that box. I don't really know what's in it. But I'm afraid that you ask anybody, you watch the sweat, the little bead of sweat come across their forehead. How about you throw that box away without ever opening it? Uh-oh. Hey, Joel, I'm meddling now. I'm meddling. If you haven't opened it for 5 years, why are you carrying it around? It has become a souvenir of hell. You're weighing yourself, I might need it. And I have the evidence to say that if I do that just as soon as I get rid of that box, I'm going to need what's in that box. That is a fear-based stinking thinking. I'm saying the time has come to clear out the garage. And Tuesday night, you have the opportunity to clear out a whole bunch of garage and consciousness. If you have a box that hasn't been opened or a box that's weighing you down, it's a souvenir of hell, get rid of it. Make room for the new. Make room for that which is more profoundly you. Now, what is the fear in the other book? Because there's fear involved with this, you want me to do what? Ever gotten a vision in your prayers? We say prayer and meditation, that's a way to get still and to be in the now moment, and then all of a sudden something gets downloaded into your heart and you're like, holy mackerel, I can't do that. I'm afraid. Fear is now dominant. Fear that was founded in the book that should be burning. The phoenix will not be born. I'm going to go back and grab the book because I'm comfortable with this. Anais Nin said that the time came when the pain of remaining in the bud outweighed the fear of blooming. I'm saying, is fear or love driving your boat, driving your bus? You get to ask yourself this question, but I say that in 2020, you're going to have to change, you're going to have to shift, you're going to have to risk screwing up. And I said, let's do it together. Let's screw up together. Let's fall down together. Make a fool of yourself. Let me tell you, the greatest minds throughout time made fools of themselves and were ridiculed, and they changed the face of the planet. I'm saying go ahead and join me at being the fool. I like being a clown. My grandchildren say, oh, Gramps, you're too clowny. And you know what? When the notes come at Christmas time, it's like, I love your clowny. Break through the barriers of what is on the other side of afraid to look like a fool. You're going to screw up. Be willing to risk in the new year because you got a whole new set of paper and a whole new set of pencils. The last quote is a lesser-known poet named Minnie Haskins. And at the precipice of the new year, as we're about to walk through that portal, I think this is a really important reading.
I said to the man who stood at the gate of the year, "Give me a light that I may tread safely into the unknown." And he replied, "Go out into the darkness and put your hand into the hand of God. That shall be to you better than light and safer than a known way." So I went forth, and finding the hand of God, trod gladly into the night.
This reminded me of the first time I traveled abroad, and it was to Ireland, and there was a door that it was a symbol of putting your hand into the hand of God. There were two warring factions. I won't go into the details of that, but they got chased into St. Patrick's Cathedral. One was on the inside, one was on the outside. Nobody wanted to fight anymore, yet it's what we did. It's an old book. And the person on the inside, the family on the inside, decided enough is enough. And they drilled a hole in the door, big enough for a hand to go through, knowing that easily could mean I'm about to lose that hand. What is the best thing that could happen, and what's the worst thing that could happen? Susie and I ask this question of ourselves all the time, and 99 times out of 100, the blooming and the budding, the fear of what might be, is so much more tremendous than I might lose a hand, metaphorically. And that family put their hand out, kept it there for a moment, and on the other side of the door came this: we're done. The warring ended in that moment. Be the first one to take a step back. Be the first one to extend a hand. That's what 2020 demands of us, and that means it demands faith. How big is your God? Where is the boundary of your vision and faith? Your faith in a power and a presence. Because decision after decision, moment after moment, you're making a decision to give the power to the book of the past or the book of the future. Right now, I'm called to be love and to put my hand through the door. How wide, how tall, how big is the God that you believe in? That argument that you've been holding on to over here in this burning book for 10 years, I guess God's not as big as that because you're still holding on to it. Your fear of what might be if you look like a fool or you make a mistake or you fail or you fall down, I guess God is not bigger than that. 2020 demands a bigger faith of us. Beyond what is out here, beyond circumstances, beyond history, beyond our fears, is a God that I want to cultivate, I want to water in 2020. 2020 demands from us ownership, it demands risk, and it demands a deeper and wider faith. We're going to take that into a time of meditation right now. And I've got Cecilia here to do the meditation, but I'd like to use a song. The song, the words are, "If not now, tell me when." We may never see this moment, time, or place again. You don't have to wait till burning bowl. I know people that in June were talking about what they were going to burn on December 31st. If not now, tell me when. Let your hand go through a door right now and put your hand into the hand of God and say, the moment is now. The book is now. New word, new idea, new being. Oh, and a new now. I will be loved and love a little more fully in the next now moment. Take a deep breath with me as the lights come down. Let yourself be courageous. Let yourself be faithful as you sing these words to that part of yourself, the dream and the vision that is calling for expression. You are a book unwritten. Let us listen to the music of the silence that is right there. Together we sing. if not now. Tell me when, if not now. Tell me when. We may never see this moment, place or time again. If not now, if not now, tell me when. I invite you to take your hand on your heart. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment, place or time again. If not now, if not now, tell me when. One more time for the subconscious mind. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment, place or time again. If not now, if not now.